what is Data Cloud is quite interesting. So Data Cloud, it's a platform that we name as a customer data platform. Before it was called CDP, Customer Data Platform. But Salesforce decided to rename it into Data Cloud. And Data Cloud is really like what we can see as a middleware between all your platform. This is where you want to aggregate data from other platforms. So, for example, like your CRM, your marketing, your service cloud, and you want to aggregate all this data in order to understand the customer from a 360 point of view. So as you can see on this image, we can see there is a person that is surrounded by the different Salesforce products, sales, service, marketing, MuleSoft, and the rest. And in fact, the idea is to explain that we want to have an individual and we want to understand how this customer interacts across each department of the business. And because we know that marketing use a dedicated marketing cloud platform, sales use a dedicated sales platform, service the same, like the customers, they use service cloud. So every time there is different product for different departments within the organization, and us, what we want to do is we want to ensure that we understand how our customer interact with the different departments of the business. And for that, we have Data Cloud. Data Cloud allow us to have like the 360 vision on our customer, where before we didn't have this type of vision because we were looking by each department and the data was located into each department. So with that, now we can share it across all the business. So there is a few steps. Like first step is to identify where do we hold data about our customer. So it can be into the Salesforce product, for example, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Marketing Cloud, but it can also be like in external products. So for example, AWS or Redshift, or even like Facebook ads or Google ads will hold data about the customer. So once we identify where do we hold data about the customer that we could leverage, we will then connect it to Data Cloud and we will start to import it. So we will import like all the information about the customer. And finally, we will organize this data by mapping it to a data model. So like the short explanation of a data model is like in Salesforce Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, you have some objects that are already available, and we will come to import record into this object. This is what is a data model, and there is a specific data model in Data Cloud named like the customer data platform. After that, we will unify the data. So unifying the data is we want to make like, for example, like John, the customer named John that interact with the marketing department, and the customer named John that interact with the sales department. That's the same person, but they have different unique identifier, so UID. But with the unification feature of Data Cloud, we will make sure that we understand that this record that have different UID, in fact, relate to the same user. So this is like a key component of Data Cloud. And finally, what we will do is we will report. So we can leverage like the standard feature of Salesforce reports, but we can generate some insights. We can do some predictive analytics as well. And we can understand what will happen in the future. Like we can predict like the next action of our customer thanks to the analytics services provided by Data Cloud. And the final piece of action is how do we activate this data? Okay, now we understand the data. We understand that John interact this way with the sales department and with the marketing department. We have a 360 vision of John across the business. What do we do with this data? We can activate it to generate more revenue, for example. So we can, for example, launch like some Google Ads campaign, Facebook Ads campaign. All of that will be part of the activation of Data Cloud, but we can also trigger a flow. So, for example, to send like a reminder email if John is about to stop his subscription, for example. We can detect all of that information and act on it in order to generate more revenue overall. So I will show you quickly in Data Cloud what it looks like. So as you can see here, we have different data stream. So we have like a data stream that is related to Sales Cloud here. So if I go in Sales Cloud and I open a new tab, you will see that it's like your regular Sales Cloud. You have some leads, you have some contacts, and a range of other objects, so opportunity, for example. And what we will be doing is we will create a new data stream and start to import this Salesforce object record from Sales Cloud into Data Cloud. And each object will be what we call a data stream. So if we click on new here, as you can see, I can select Salesforce CRM because this is the source where I want to import the data from. Click next. And here we will have either the possibility to select an object. So an object from Salesforce Sales Cloud, so contact, lead, opportunity, or a bundle. And like the bundle are quite interesting because it's Salesforce that is doing some pre-work to facilitate the way you set up Data Cloud. So for example, here I can set up the sales bundle and I will be clicking next and I will see a range of criteria. So Salesforce will tell me you should import this field, and this field from the contact object, or the same for the account object, lead object, opportunity. So if I take contact, for example, Salesforce will pre-select the field that could be interesting to import into Data Cloud. After that, I can click next. And when I finish to click next, I will be able to import this object from Salesforce Sales Cloud into Data Cloud as a data stream. So like here I can click deployed, but in fact I already done it before, so that you can see here like the data that is imported. So for example, in that case, we are able to see that we have imported 13 accounts, 20 contacts, 10 users, and 22 leads. Perfect. So that's interesting. Now, what we will be doing is a data stream is like the connector to import from Salesforce CRM in that case. After that, like the data lake object will be created. So the data lake object is where we store the data. And as you can see in here, like we have the exact same naming convention as the data stream. So for example, if I search for lead home, I should have something called lead home as well. Perfect. So, and it's in the category profile. So that seems to be correct. And then the data lake object will be connected to the data model object. So there is a process like this of connecting like the different model to map it to the customer data model from Data Cloud. So here, if I click on review, you will see that we have a mapping that is done between the data lake object and the data model object. Okay, so it looks a bit not messy, but like super interconnected like this. But in fact, it's just to show you that like we are connecting like the different field from the Salesforce object that we have created to data cloud, the data model object. But the question is, what is the data model object? The data model object in data cloud is what we call the customer 360 model. So the customer 360 model, it's a range of objects, like in Salesforce CRM. It's some objects that are interconnected. We don't call them objects. We call them data model objects. They are objects that are interconnected, and when we import data from the different external systems through data streams, we are able to plug them into this customer 360 model from Salesforce. And this specific model is like, the objective of this model is to provide us with like a 360 view of our customer. So I take back the example of John. By importing the different external platforms that contain data about our customer John, and plug them into this customer 360 model object, I will be able to understand that John is acting this way with the marketing department, is acting that way with the service department, and is acting this way with the sales department. Obviously, when I say that, it's just an example, but like, the final objective is to get a 360 view of what John is doing, how he is interacting with our organization. And by doing that, we will be able to understand better what John wants, how he wants to interact with the business, and by doing that, generating more revenue, because we will be able to take the right decision and the right action. So this is the customer 360 data model. As you can see, it's a lot of objects that are interconnected. And what we are doing in here, in our mapping from the data lake object. So this is what we have imported, lead from Salesforce Sales Cloud, lead object from Salesforce Sales Cloud, two different data model objects that are part of the customer 360 model object. So as you can see, here we have the lead data model object. So we are import like the information related to the lead. Okay. So we have done that automatically, because when we are using the bundles that I've shown you, Salesforce Data Cloud, we do the mapping automatically. However, if you want to change, update like the mapping, this is something you can do as well. So our data lake are created here for lead. And now what we will be able to see is our data model object. So when we will do the mapping of the field between the data lake object and the data model object, Salesforce will Data Cloud will populate this data model object and will make them available. So as you can see here, we have the list of the data model object from Data Cloud that are currently in use, the ones that are mapped. There is also those that are not mapped. So there is a lot of objects, in fact. But in this case, we will just focus on the ones that are mapped. And I think an interesting vision that you can do is to search for the graph. So here I will use the graph, and you will be able to see how these data model objects are interconnected to give you like the 360 customer view about your user. A good thing to see, I think, is that there is a different category of objects. So there is profile, engagement, and other. So for example, profile will be everything that relates to an individual. So for example, an account, an individual, a lead, a user, this one can be someone. So like, for example, myself or John, our customer, this is someone, this is an individual. So it will enter into the profile category of our data model object. Engagement, So I don't think we have engagement map here, but it will be everything on how does John interact with our business. So for example, emails open, SMS sent, like Facebook reply on Messenger. So all of that can be other data model object that will help us to understand how the customer is interacting with our organization. And in the case of John, it will be how John interact with our organization, such as like how many email does he open every week? Did he open the email from our last email campaign? Does he interact with our Facebook ads? So all of that is available within the data model object from like data cloud. And then you have like the other category, which will be everything that doesn't relate, in fact, to either profile or engagement. So, for example, like opportunity contact. This will be an information that doesn't relate to the customer directly or to how he interacts with our organization. Also, part of the mapping that is quite interesting is the individual object. So you can really see that at the end of the day, everything relates to an individual within Salesforce. So in the case here, it will be, for example, our lead named John. The account will be, for example, John that is working at Salesforce, and the contact point email will be john@salesforce.com. So as you can see here, everything is interconnected and related with each other. So do you have any question regarding like the customer 360 data model object? Okay. So this is and also like more importantly, if you don't have any question, do you understand um, like the way I explain it, like what it is, the customer 360 model? Okay. So if we continue, so like we can give you the live demo, but also what is very important to understand is how like the data model objects they relate to like the different objects within data cloud. How do they relate with each other? So as you can see, we have like the data stream that will the data stream is really like the input. How do you take your data from like the external source? So for example, Salesforce CRM or Marketing Cloud. After that, you have the data lake object, which is where you store the information collected from the external source, from the data stream. And then you will come to map your data lake object into the data model object, which is the customer 360 from Salesforce that will allow you to get a 360 overview about your customer. So I think what we can do is go into like setup, data cloud setup, and show you how you can activate more data stream. So as you can see here, if we click on new, there is not so many connected sources that are available. So there is a lot of different connectors that are here, but us, we want to see where are the other products from Salesforce. So if you go into data cloud setup and that you click on Salesforce integration, you will see that there is we can click on Salesforce CRM. So when we prepared this demo, we decided that yes, we will set up Salesforce CRM, so Sales Cloud, in order to import the data from the Salesforce CRM. But what about Service Cloud? Today, for example, if we create a bundle from Service Cloud, we won't be able to import the data from Service Cloud. And I will just show you why. because the data bundle will not be installed. So if we go here and we click on data bundle in Service Cloud, that we click on next, as you can see, the system will say we hit a snag. So like there is an issue. It's because in fact, we need to click on install Service Cloud. So here I will come to install Service Cloud bundle so that I can automate the way I integrate data from Data Cloud into from Service Cloud into Data Cloud. So here I click install Service Cloud and I will install and grant the access to the admin of my Salesforce platform so that I can start importing data from Service Cloud. You can do the same with marketing. So as you can see in marketing here, I will have the possibility to enable Marketing Cloud engagement and personalization. So I think in that case, I will need to log in with an SSO connection. So I won't do it. We will focus on Salesforce CRM, but this is something you can do for Marketing Cloud and for Commerce Cloud as well. And here you even have like the possibility to integrate Snowflake, have some API, and also create a sort of sitemap as we do in Marketing Cloud personalization. So, okay, I will check if my Service Cloud package has been installed. I will go in Salesforce CRM. And here I should have the bundle for Service Cloud that is installed. Or at least it will be done soon. So once I've done that, I've enabled my standard data bundle. I can check what type of data I have in Service Cloud. So I click in Salesforce CRM on Service Cloud. And here I will see what do I have. I have 13 accounts, a few contacts. Let's see if I have some keys that are available. I have some keys that are available, and I would be interested to ingest that into Data Cloud. So what I can do is either I can click on Service Object. Maybe I will do that actually. Or I can integrate the object directly. I think in my case, I want to keep it very simple. So I will just install the bundle. And we can see now that Service Cloud install version 6.0 is installed. Before that, we had like the 2 underscore, which means that the bundle were not installed. And I always want to select bundle because for me, I want to keep it simple and I want to ensure that everything works smoothly. After there is something else, using bundle might consume more data because you will obviously ingest fields that are not needed from the service object. Okay, here the bundle seems to be set up correctly. I will choose, if I want, I can only select case, for example. So I could select only this object, but I will select the bundle because it's easier for me. So I can click next. And then, oh, I should field service. I will need to change that because we will want to use, we want to ingest just like the Service Cloud bundle. Okay. So I click here, next. So here Salesforce will tell me about like all the objects and the field that will be imported. And once they confirm, I should be able to validate, and we will start injecting the data into Data Cloud. So here we will do our setup, data stream, that are coming from Service Cloud will be interconnected into the data lake object and will be connected to the data model object. So let's see. There is some error. You do not have a permission. Okay. So there is no permission. So as you can see, there is a small issue in here. So what we will do, because we don't have time to work with the permission, we might just enable the case object. At least we don't create that. So here, Salesforce is asking me, what are the fields that you want to import? I will pretty much import all the case field into the system. Oh, and I need to select a category. Category. For this object. Okay. Previous. So here there is apparently an issue with the category. So I will come back in here. And somewhere I should be able to list the object category. So what a case is, it's not a profile. Is it an engagement? Yeah, it could be a user that create a case. So it's related to how John is interacting with the support department and is creating new case and interacting with us, with our organization. So, okay, that seems to be correct. Now I will be clicking on deploy. And now that I'm clicking on deploy, it will take a few seconds, but we will be able to see the data stream case created. So here, as you can see, the data stream case is processing. So it means that Data Cloud is importing the data from the Service Cloud platform and will import the case object. Okay, so that's interesting. As it's still processing, I might wait that everything is fine, and I will be searching for the connector. So now I can start to map the field. So what I will be doing here is I will map the field to my customer's 360 data model object. So I will keep it very straightforward. But here, as you can see, I've clicked on select a data model object. So I will just ensure that my objects are mapped correctly. I will pick the data model object that I want to map to the case object from Service Cloud, and we can start from there. So here it's taking a while. I think it's because it's still processing. So let's see. Okay. Select object. So it's taking a bit of time. I think it's because it's still processing. So I might need to work with another object until this is processed. Let's work with the contact object or the opportunity object. It's a bit similar. So here, as you can see, we can see like how the object, the field from the opportunity object in Sales Cloud are mapped to the field from the different data model object from Data Cloud. I should be able to select a new object. So for example, I will search for the contact object in here. Data model entity. So somehow it still doesn't want me to select the object. I'm not too sure why. I think it's just because it's processing in the background. But what we can do is we can consider that we have done the mapping with the data model object. As you can see, there is already quite a few that are mapped. So we already have a sort of mapping, so it's quite interesting already. If we click here, that's the same. That's the model from the data lake object to the data model object. So this seems correct. For example, we can see that the lead are with the contact point address. So it's where my customer is living, my contact point email, what's the email of my customer, my contact point phone, what's the phone of my customer, the individual, so who is he as an individual. Like, for example, an individual can be a contact, but can also be a lead. So this is almost the most important object that you can find in Data Cloud. The lead object, obviously, because it's a lead, and the party is like I'm not too sure which object is party again, but yeah, like the mapping is done. And now what you can do is you can go into Data Explorer, and within Data Explorer, you will be able to review. Let's say tomorrow there is a bug somewhere in the system. There is a bug in Data Cloud, something that I don't understand. So I want to see what is available within a data lake object, for example. I can select, in our case, we will select the lead, okay? And here I should be able to see all the leads that are available within Data Cloud that have been ingested. Because as you remember, we have like imported all the lead from Salesforce Sales Cloud, the lead object, into Data Cloud as like a lead object. We have mapped to different data model objects. But here we will be able to select the column that we want to work with. So what matter about a lead, for example, will be the title, the name more importantly, first name, and email address. That's the basic. That's what we want to see. So here I can directly see like all the data, and I will be able to select the column that I want to see. So here, as you can see, I can see from the data lake object what are the lead that we have ingested. And I can also copy the SQL query that will allow me to generate this type of report. Okay, now I would like to see what we have connected into the data model object. So again, there is something I want to understand what is available within my Data Cloud data model object. I need to go into the Data Explorer, and I will select the data model object, and then I will select the lead object, the data model lead object from Data Cloud. Here, I will just remove like the different column because there is many, and I will focus on the one that we spoke about. So it will be last name. So I might need to do, let's do something. Lead ID, contact point email, so it must be the email address. And ideally I would like to know also the name of the person. So phone contact point for the phone, and ideally company name, city. Okay, it's because it will be mapped to individual. Okay, so here I have like just basically the lead ID and the information. But if I want to see the name, the first name, last name of someone, it will be mapped to the individual. So as you can see here now, I'm loading the data model object. And if I edit the colon, so I will just remove that. And here we will come to select the last name. Okay, first name, last name, individual ID, created date, and we will be interested in the source, the data source object. I click done, and here, as you can see, all the lead that we imported from Salesforce, CRM, Sales Cloud, and like the lead object, and in fact, they are in the individual object. Like if you are looking for first name, last name information, because we have mapped it to our customer's 360 data model. So for example, you will have the lead object that will be mapped to individual. So individual will be here. Up. So you will see that the lead object points to the individual object, but also to the lead object. So basically, your Salesforce object from Sales Cloud will be ingested into Data Cloud, but we will then split it and map it to different data model object into Data Cloud. As you can see, that's the illustration. The lead object from Salesforce will be ingested and split to the individual and to the lead object, for example. Okay, so that seems to be what we want. We are able to analyze the data. And if I come back finally to the ingestion of the case object that we were doing together before, here, as you can see, there is nothing. There is still nothing. But if I do the mapping in here, seems to work now. It was just a question of processing. Sometimes it can take a bit of time. So, but I saw it, like, as you can see, I can read data model entry. So I will let it run again. Okay, quite interesting. I'm able to ingest, visualize my data, and also understand how my data model objects relate to each other. So that's quite interesting. And all this data stream will run on a schedule. So I will be able to import data on every hour, like hourly basis or daily basis or weekly basis. I can set up that on my data stream object. And you have two types of data stream objects. You have what we call batch and streaming. So batch will be on a schedule, so daily, weekly, monthly. Streaming will be instant. So as soon as a new lead is created in Salesforce CRM, I will create it in Data Cloud as well. So this is quite interesting, mostly if you are using external systems. So I'm thinking about Stripe. Like, let's say you ingest Stripe into Data Cloud. Every time there is a new customer, you don't want to wait a week to ingest it into Data Cloud. Maybe you want to do it instantly. And this is when you will be using the streaming data stream. That are those. However, like the streaming data stream will consume more credit and more units. So you will end up paying more. But if you have like the budget and the needs, then it can make sense. Okay, what is interesting as well, I think we need to speak about the calculated insight and the calculated insight and identity resolution. So calculated insight will be how do you calculate information? How do you do, like in Salesforce CRM, you run report and you have like some formula field. In Data Cloud, you use calculated insight to get information, to get insight based on the data that you accumulate in the system. So you have different way of creating calculated insight. You have the SQL query that we can see, the streaming insight, so it will be instant. So every time you ingest data, you calculate on it. And like the other one that is the main one and probably the most generic one is the one that we create with Visual Builder. So I will kickstart with that. On that one, we will create a calculated insight. And as you can see, they still propose you to create a streaming insight, but let's keep it simple. Here, I will select an individual, for example. So here I select my data model object. Data model objects that are available in here. Data model objects that are available in the graph. So here, for example, I'm interested in the individual. I can see what is in the individual, but I will create a calculated insight. So here I select my object. I can select multiple objects as well. And here I will say transform, join. Okay, transform. No, actually, here I want something. Aggregate, join, not join, filter. Okay, here I will add a filter and I will say the data source object is equal to lead. So the idea is that I want to know how many leads I have in the system. So I click apply. Okay, I click apply. And here I will say, here I can add an arithmetic expression. And basically here, so I will do Control Shift L.